Hello, and welcome to another video. Today, I've got a Power Cube update for you. This cube just underwent a massive change. After reviewing some data from the vintage cubes on Arena and Magic Online, as well as just general quality updates after playing with our playgroup. So I wanted to go over these changes with you today, as they'll inevitably come up in future Crack-a-Pack videos here. We had 45 cards total that were swapped out, which feels like quite a lot for a 360 card cube. This includes an overhaul of some themes that got phased in or phased out, and an effort to better equalize the amount of cards in each color, like skewing less toward blue, and bolstering colors that had been a bit underrepresented. But yeah, I'll go through each card that was removed, and then each card that was added, and we'll talk a bit more about the reasoning as we go. So, the first major change we have to go over is the elimination of the extra pack. If you've watched any of my previous videos with this cube, you may be familiar with this. But if not, I'll quickly explain what's going on here. The cube had a Lore Seeker, which is a conspiracy card that allows you to add an extra pack into the draft, but that ability is optional. And for this cube, we had a curated 15 card pack that housed some really powerful cards, or could unlock some extra combos. But we left it up to the drafters if they wanted to add this pack into the draft to dial up the power level, or just leave the pack sealed. It was a fun element to have in the draft, but I think it's sort of run its course. So some cards from that extra pack are going to be folded back into the main cube. The remaining cards will be removed, and of course the Lore Seeker itself is getting eliminated. So let's take a look at the extra pack cards that are getting removed first. Starting off with Crowstorm. This was pretty much always just here for laughs. It is, of course, a storm payoff, but it just kind of becomes unnecessary without the side pack. Emery, Lurker of the Lock, is kind of just going to be unsupported overall in the cube, so no longer needed. Mindbreak Trap. This was originally included in the side pack because of the inclusion of Brain Freeze. We kind of felt that a powerful storm payoff warranted also including the answer to that strategy, but we kind of found that storm isn't really a big enough threat in the main cube, so we don't really need this. Tidespout Tyrant is part of the permanent-based combo strategy. Things like Monoflare, Palancron, stuff like that, which is all getting removed, so Tidespout Tyrant is no longer needed. Bergie, God of Storytelling. This is Finale of Promise and Wish. All kind of meant for Storm, but aren't going to make the cut into the main cube. And finally, Golos Tireless Pilgrim. We were finding just never really came together quite the way we wanted, so instead he is getting eliminated. And then cards from the extra pack that are getting put into the main cube are Karn the Great Creator as a piece of artifact hate, Brain Freeze to give one more payoff to Storm, Narset Parter of Veils, just a good card for a variety of decks, Thassa's Oracle, another combo piece for Brain Freeze and Underworld Breach. We've got Uro, Titan of Nature's Wrath, and Oko, Thief of Crowns. Again, just some really good cards that can go in a lot of things. And then Bolas's Citadel is being added as an additional target for Tinker. But yeah, that covers the first major change to the cube. I am a little sad to see this pack go, but I think it'll be fun having access to all of these cards now every time we draft going forward. But that covers the elimination of the Lore Seeker from the cube. Next, let's take a look at all of the other cards being removed. Alright, let's start out with a group of cards. We've got Volrath's Stronghold, Bitter Blossom, Pernicious Deed, Golgari Charm, and Grizzly Salvage. These are all part of a Golgari mid-range theme that is no longer going to be supported. And for Bitter Blossom, we were also finding that it was a bit too slow in Dimir control, so these are all being eliminated. We've also got Garruk Wildspeaker and Thragtusk. Just some green cards that were also proving to be too slow and maybe too narrow in application. Next, we talked about eliminating the permanent-based combo theme. So we've got Mono Flare, Comet Storm, Dream Halls, and Palancron. And along those lines, we've got Trigon Predator, which was mainly here to deal with stuff like Bitter Blossom or Mono Flare. So without those targets and being a Simic card, it just doesn't really have a very good home anymore. Mazavith is also getting taken out, now that these slower kind of controlling decks no longer exist in the cube. Treachery and Bribery are both just very powerful blue win cons that require very little setup, if any. So, as part of just cutting down on the sheer amount of blue cards in the cube, we're also shaving down on ones like this that bridge into blue with no real commitment to the color. Recruiter of the Guard and Brimaz, King of Ereskos, are now just a bit too slow for the white aggressive deck and have been outclassed. Land tax is part of the Azorius control package, but that's getting reimagined. Mind's Desire, no longer really necessary for the main cube now that some of the extra pack cards got added in. Kitchen Finks, Kasali Pride Mage, and Voice of Resurgence are all part of the Selesnya aggro deck, which is being removed. Delver of Secrets, we were finding just doesn't really flip consistently enough. Dragon Lord Ojitai, not as easy to support as we imagined, and there's probably just better options for whatever you're trying to get out of him. Traverse the Uvenwald, we weren't really achieving Delirium super often, so getting rid of that. Then we have Metalworker, Staff of Domination, and Zerta the Dawnwaker, which were all meant to combo together but rarely ever worked out as intended, so figured we'd just get rid of all of those. Similarly, Defense of the Heart never really worked as intended, so getting rid of that. Ugin the Spirit Dragon is stepping aside to make room for the Tarkir Dragonstorm Ugin. Merfolk Looter, Graveyard spell-based combo and Reanimator decks were using this, but stuff like Charticourse is there, so not super necessary to keep this in. Relic Seeker was put in here to assist Stoneforge Mystic, but we're finding that Stoneforge Mystic is doing well all by itself, so we don't need this anymore. Oracle of Moldaya and Ramanap Excavator are both getting replaced by Icetail Explorer, so they're now redundant. Our last group here all fall under the umbrella of being too low impact for their respective strategies, so we'll just go through these ones quickly. We've got Slaughter Pact, Maelstrom Pulse, Honor of the Pure, Inferno Titan, Iona, Shield of Ameria, Dig Through Time, Tassiger the Golden Fang, Gush, Thalia, Heretic Cathar, and Vern Wingmare. So that is everything that is being removed from the cube. I'm gonna go grab a sip of tea, just in case my voice sounds different in a minute, but yeah. I'll be back and we'll go through all of the new stuff being added. Alright. Now is the exciting part where we get to look at the additions to the cube. And these aren't going to be in any particular order aside from color. To start, we've got Philia, Exuberant Shepherd, Containment Priest. This goes really well with Philia or Parallax Wave. Selfless Spirit, Lion Sash, Intrepid Adversary, Cathar Commando, Elspeth Stormslayer, Staff of the Storyteller, really good with token strategies, so things like Gaia's Cradle or Retrofitter Foundry. Even Tolarian Academy is good with this. Oust is here to help bolster white control. Parallax Wave, I mentioned earlier. And Thraben Inspector rounds out the white. For blue, we've got Mana Leak as a flexible counterspell, and Stock Up as just a good card in general. For black, we've got Bone Shards as kind of a sneaky extra way to get a card into a graveyard. And we're adding in Unearth. Red is getting Chain Lightning. For green, we're adding Once Upon a Time as kind of a better alternative to traverse the Ulvenwald. We've got Endurance. Icetail Explorer is really good utility. We talked about it replacing Oracle of Moldiah and Ramanap Excavator. Titania, Protector of Argoth, goes really well with Icetail Explorer and Zurin Orb. We've got Pest Infestation, Delighted Halfling gives green some protection from counterspells. Bristly Bill Spinesower, good for targeting Nadu, or has landfall synergies with Omnath. We've got Sylvan Safekeeper as another part of the Nadu package. Elvish Reclaimer is another crop rotation effect. Moving on to multicolor, we've got Comet, Stellar Pup, Flage, Titan of Fire's Fury, is good for red aggressive, also goes really well with Ephemerate or Unearth, or is something fun for broadside bombardiers to play with. We're adding a Figure of Destiny, Nadu Winged Wisdom, just a value piece like we mentioned. Third Path Iconoclast for Izzet Prowess. Grist, the Hunger Tide. And then for colorless, Tezzeret Cruel Captain and Manifold Key. With the two of these, we're effectively adding 2 more keys into the cube. Lightning Greaves is a free Nadu enabler. Ugin, Eye of Storms, replaces Ugin the Spirit Dragon. We've got Zurin Orb. And finally for the land, we've got Dark Depths and Thespian Stage So those are all of the updates that were made to the cube. I am really excited to try out this new configuration and see how it goes. There is a link in the video description to a complete list of the entire cube if you want to see everything together. Make sure you come back on Monday for the Crack-A-Pack, where I'll be pulling packs from the cube and making draft picks with you. So I hope to see you there. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, please make sure you hit that like button, and please consider subscribing if you haven't already. I put out new Magic the Gathering ASMR videos every Monday and Friday. I truly appreciate all of your support, and I hope you have a wonderful day.